everyone and welcome back to SAFC Fan TV. After Sunderland drew 1-1 at home to Lincoln City in our last game, we've had no midweek fixture this time, but we do travel to the Memorial Stadium for a 3 o'clock kickoff on Saturday, the home of Bristol Rovers. The last time we played Bristol was a 1-1 draw, the very first game of the season at the Stadium of Light. They took the lead through a 3rd-minute penalty, but Chris Maguire was able to equalise towards the end of the game. And joining me to preview the game is Charlie from One Rovers Vlogs, and here is what me and Charlie had to say.
All right, I'm here with Charlie. Charlie, how are you getting on today?
Yeah, mate, I'm not too bad. Cheers for having me on as well.
Yeah, are you looking forward to Saturday by any means?
I mean, yes and no. It'll be good because most of the time we do up our game against better teams, but obviously because we're on not very good form as you know.
Yeah, I mean, before I get into that, just a quick question I've got, really. I mean, a player who was with us for a little while, Jack Baldwin, obviously went to you earlier this season. He's made 28 appearances so far. How's he got on this season?
Yeah, I mean, obviously most of the season he's not been very good because our defence on a whole have been poor. But he has had some good games. He has played well, like Peterborough away when we drew 0-0. We were the first team to beat Lincoln away, so. He played well there, but then other games like Plymouth, he was awful. And then on Tuesday, obviously yesterday, for their goal, he just gives away some stupid fouls. He's quite experienced as well, but he still plays. He's like he's in his early 20s. But yeah, he's been pretty bad, to be honest.
I mean, since Roy Barton's come in, of course, your 3rd manager so far this season, things haven't exactly went to plan. But what changes did he try to make when he come in?
He's been quite good. To be honest, he has had some good games. Accrington, we battered him 4-1. He's making us play better, but first game he come in, it was Wigan, couldn't really do anything about it. He'd only been at Rovers for like 2 or 3 hours. And obviously we lost that game. And then other games we have played well, like Burton, we played well, but then got a man sent off and it changed the game. But, the last 3, especially 3, losses on the bounce. It's just the team making mistakes, because obviously we brought him in after January as well. So he hasn't been able to bring any of his players in as well. So he's still got the same deadwood we've had all season.
Yeah, how do you tend to approach games at the moment regarding kind of formations and tactics and systems?
Yeah, he's sort of changed it around a little bit. Yesterday he played 3 strikers, as a front 3. But it's sort of hard because we've had obviously some injuries as well. Like that's obviously good news for you on Saturday. The fact that our best player Sam Nicholson, he's meant to be out for the rest of the season, which is not good at all. But we've been sort of relying on him most of the season. But now, obviously the football's definitely better, but last 3 games, it's just people making mistakes and, defensive errors is costing him really. And it's obviously not his fault. A lot of people know that, it's the board, but yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, you mentioned there that one of your best players so far, Sam Nichols, is injured at the moment. But who are your main threats? Who, if anyone, have we got to be concerned about going into the game? I know you're probably going to say no one, but is anyone who springs to mind?
I'd probably say Hanlon because the first game we played you, obviously first game of the season, he was really good. He made Bailey Wright get a yellow in the first half. He was causing him problems.
Right, you love Bailey Wright.
Yeah. Him and obviously Lee Johnson especially, I can't stand because he was at Bristol City for a long time. But I think Hanlon, Jonah Ayunga, he's been playing well but hasn't been scoring. But he can hold the ball up really good and he's quite fast as well. And also, probably the biggest one would be Zane Westbrook. Before Barton come in, all the other managers was playing him as like a holding midfielder, which he isn't. And Barton's been playing him in his position just behind the striker, and he's been quality since Barton's come in.
Obviously, that's been quite a disappointing season for you, really. You're off the back of 3 defeats in a row now. Success isn't really what I would associate with Bristol Rovers Football Club at the moment. But
no.
Where in particular does it tend to go wrong in general? Is there that one player who always makes a mistake, or that one tactic you always tend to try that always fails?
I think the biggest problem, especially the last 3 games, is obviously there's been confidence, and it's just been hoofball, and it's been rubbish, really. I mean, you can manage him on the training ground as much as you can, but when it comes to playing, it's up to the players, and they've just not been good enough. The recruitment was awful. Our manager we brought in, who was sacked first, Ben Garner, we brought him in last season, and he went on an awful run, and he still got backed in the summer to sign players, and it's been awful recruitment. The board, a lot. I mean, there's a lot of things going into it.
Yeah, I mean, finally, mate, have you got a prediction for the game?
I mean, I'll go with a head and heart prediction. My head says 4-0 Sunderland.
Wow. Charlie White again, every single one.
Yeah, because I mean, he's got a good record against us as well. He always used to score against us for Bradford. He got a hat trick, I think, 4 years ago when we lost 3-0 away to Bradford, live on Sky. And yeah,
I didn't know that.
And obviously, yeah, and then obviously our defense has just been awful. Got a lot of, we had Ema, well, we still got him, but Barton's basically frozen him out. We got him in the summer, and it's just that, yeah, the defense is poor. So I mean, if you've got the likes of McGeady and Jordan Jones, then, and Wyke, of course, then yeah, it could be bad. But I mean, if I was to give a heart prediction, I'll probably say a draw, because we're unbeaten in the last 2 games against you. Obviously, this season drawing 1-1, we was close to winning, but I mean, you was all over us. And then last season, before you got curtailed, obviously we beat you 2-0. Probably one of our best performances.
Don't remind me of that game. It was the final game. I remember watching that and just thinking, this is awful.
Yeah. But I mean, back then we had obviously Clark Harris, so yeah, it's a lot different now. That's the main problem. We haven't replaced his 27 goals he got for us in 18 months. So
yeah, I remember earlier on in the season, kind of before Wyke hit form, I had this question I was pondering. I was talking to a few other people about it, saying if you could bring any player from the division into the squad. It's a question I quite like to ask, actually. Any other player from the division into the squad, who would it be? And at the start of the season, for me, it would have been Johnson Clark Harris, because he does score loads of goals, but he seemed to have it already in terms of his overall play. But he must be missing them massively.
Yeah, big time. I mean, he is the main reason, we replaced him with Brandon Hanlon. I mean, he had a good start to the season, but since sort of January, he's only got like 1 goal. So he's been playing with an injury as well. So I think that's the main problem. We replaced him with 3, players that haven't played, a lot of football in the Football League.
Yeah. Anyway, mate, so you went to work with a 4-0 Sunderland win as your prediction. Go and check out Charlie's channel as well. I'm not sure if there'll be a link in the description, but I'll definitely link it in the comments as well. Congratulations on 2,000 subscribers, of course. But he's a great Bristol City fan, making some great content. So if you'd like to go over there and subscribe to his channel there, please do so. Go show him some of the Sunderland love. But Charlie, thanks a lot for coming on. I think we'll leave it there.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Thanks for having me on.
Well, I'm rather confident going at this game, to be honest. Bristol Rovers are really in poor form, sat near the bottom of the table, having lost the last 3 games. Despite, of course, drawing an last game, I still think we're in great form. I know a lot of people weren't happy at the draw, but regardless, these things happen sometimes, and the most important thing is you bounce back, and I am confident that we're going to do it. Conor McLaughlin will miss this game through being on international duty. Could that see Max Power come back into the team, either on the right side of a back 3 or a back 4? Potentially, obviously, opens options up for the midfield. Josh Scowen hasn't had a lot of minutes as of late. Carl Winchester has played. He has been relatively impressive. I know Levitt is getting a little bit of stick recently, but we might have to shuffle things around with that. Even Dan Neil might make an appearance, but I would doubt that, as he hasn't played a lot recently. Just over on the left-hand side, though, McFadden, I think, in my opinion, he's significantly improved recently. I mean, me and Dino both give him man of the match against Lincoln City in our last game. I think Michael did, but he changed his mind. And I thought he had a very decent game against Lincoln. Even his goal aside, he defended really well. I think one time he got caught out, but Levitt was there to cover him. So, that might have been a pre-arranged tactic for Levitt to cover him. But regardless, in the form, I thought he had a decent game in the final and against Portsmouth as well. Jake Vokins did have a good game against Accrington Stanley, though, so it's nice to actually kind of have some options. You know, these, don't forget, you know, we're not singing the praises yet, but these lads are starting to show signs of improvement. Hopefully they can offer us something until Hume comes back, and you never know, there might even be some competition there, but to me, Hume still comes in when he's ready, but of course he won't be. Speaking of Accrington Stanley, of course, Jake Vaughton had a decent game against them. On his debut, Ross Stewart, there's been a lot of calls for him to come in. Obviously scored on his debut, getting that first goal against Accrington. He came on in the last game, and as much as he didn't do a lot in our last game, I think we could do with an extra presence up top. I'm not sure if Aidan O'Brien is expected to come yet. Johnson or McAllister haven't done the press conference yet, so I guess we'll find out then. But I would like to see an extra player get up there. I think Wyke benefits when he's got someone else to do his dog work from. If you exclude the 4-1 win against Doncaster Rovers, where of course McGeady was able to assist them 4 times when we played 4-3-3, Wyke tends to score a lot of goals when he has a strike partner with him. I think the difference in that game was that McGeady was just on a different class, and he was just having that right back's life, to be honest. But obviously you can't expect that to happen in every single game. So I would like to see Wyke potentially go with a strike partner again. I've given a lot of plaudits to Aidan O'Brien in terms of being a strike partner and relieving a lot of his responsibilities, so Wyke can kind of just focus on scoring goals and getting in those areas. But I would quite like to see Ross Stewart come in, actually, because I think he can offer similar things to O'Brien regarding his physicality and work rate, but with the addition of maybe a little bit more end product. That's probably my main criticism of Aidan O'Brien, is that his end product isn't fantastic. You know, he hasn't scored a lot of goals or created a lot of chances himself, but he often has a small role in the build-up play. At the very least, he's able to do a lot of the running that goes unnoticed, or a lot of the work that goes unnoticed. But I think Ross Stewart could also do that, but with the addition of actually getting goals as well. I mean, he got a goal on his debut, of course, but even still in the last game, he still was able to win a few headers. He's just an extra presence, an extra threat up there. I'm not sure if Jordan Jones is coming back, but if you were to go with the 2 of them up front, you know, then comes a question of who to play on the right hand side. If you were to play a kind of a 4-4-2, or if you were to play them 2 up top together, Johnson would probably end up going with a 4-4-2 with that 4-2-2. Obviously McGeady being on the left, who then goes on the right for Jordan Jones. Jack Diamond hasn't impressed us as of late. Neither's Lyndon Gooch, and I don't think Chris Maguire's got a good 90 minutes in him. So it is a difficult one to call, really. So maybe Ross Stewart, it's not his time to come in. Maybe we'll have to wait until Jones comes back so he can effectively play that way. But regardless, I'm sure Johnson will figure it out, as he normally does. Of course, Johnson used to be the Bristol City manager, as Megan and Charlie touched on just there. Might have a Scott to settle with, you never know. Of course, another manager we've got a Scott to settle with is Joey Barton. We never tend to do well against him, but I think this could be the game we get one over on him. We've struggled since we've come down into League One to compete with him. In fact, we haven't actually even beaten him yet. Of course, previously the manager of Fleetwood. The only time we've beaten Fleetwood was the time when Simon Grayson was in charge after Barton left the club. But I think this could be the time we've beaten him. I mean, I don't want this to become Sunderland versus Joey Barton. To me, this is Sunderland versus Bristol Rovers, and 3 points is much more important than getting one over him, but I know it does matter to a lot of fans, and I guess it would be nice to knock him off his pedestal after a couple of things he has said about us. But regardless, I am going to predict a 3-0 Sunderland win. I do see this as a game where we get back into winning ways after a slight dip against Lincoln City, although I would argue it wasn't even that much of a dip, to be honest, because Lincoln City are still a strong side. They gave us a tough game, and I think looking at the later stages of the game, I wouldn't have been surprised if they ended up getting a second. But regardless, I'm going to predict a 3-0 Sunderland win. Obviously, I hope that we can win and get back in our ways. There you go, score predictions in the comments as well. I'll be down there answering people, say what people have to say. But yeah, thank you for watching the preview. I hope you have enjoyed it. Please do leave a like if you haven't. Let's see if we can hit 100 likes. That's a target. I'm not sure how many the tech normally hit, but there you go. There's a target out there. Please subscribe to SAFC Fan TV if you haven't already. And I will see you for the watch along on the game. We'll be going live 2:30. Probably be me, Dino, and Michael again. I think Gary is joining us again. Gary was great on the watch along last time. But I will see you at 2:30 for the watch along on Saturday. Bye bye.